All right, so we are being live streamed so that you can see this at a later date or share it with somebody. And today we're going to be talking about kidney stones again. I have talked about it before, but it's such an important topic. And I think it's one of the best ways that you can share information about frequencies. I guess I hadn't thought about it in that aspect previously. So just wanted to kind of go over the ideas about kidney stone and some expanded ideas about kidney stone. The WAVwatch has been really great for kidney stones. I think that's one of the strongest areas that it works with, and you just don't know when you might need that. So I have had some people who, have just used the WAVwatch for a couple of ideas, and then later they're coming back and saying, oh my gosh, I got a kidney stone and it worked, or something like that. And guess who that person is that's saying that? Me. That's what happened to me this week. I have had the WAVwatch out for about 2.5 years now, and never ever had any problems with kidney stones. Never even thought about it really. And just this last week, I listened to my assistant tell me that she had kidney stones and how she had used the WAVwatch, and that she had so many, small pieces of debris and actual strings that were in her urine sample. And she has a friend who is a nurse, and her nurse friend told her, well, that's part of the ureter that is actually being, shredded a little bit as those stones move through your system and out. So that was completely resolved. And gosh, within a week, I seemed to have kidney stones. Now, mine was not very bad at all. I didn't have any of the symptoms. I just had, just a little backache one time out of the blue, and I muscle tested. So, people try your muscle testing. And my muscle testing told me kidney stones. And I thought, well, okay, And sure enough, after about 30 minutes, my urine was full of the same thing that my assistant mentioned. So I thought that was really interesting. And then I guess I'll embarrass myself and my assistant maybe, but we had the biggest laugh because the only symptom that we really noticed, the same symptom, was that we had a lot of gas. What a thing to tell you. But I did not know that that was a pretty big symptom of kidney stones until I started really looking it up, and both of us just had the biggest laugh about that. She had a little bit more pain. I didn't really have pain, but that's the symptom that both of us noticed. So anyway, I'm sure our spouses and, friends are thrilled that maybe is a problem that is resolved now. So anyway, you just have to, tell on yourself once in a while and have fun. So I'm going to go ahead and share the screen. So here we go. All right, so I'm thinking that you can see my screen now. Let me know if you have any problems with that. But again, we're talking about kidney stones and actually gallstones too, because they are very similar. So they can be very helpful with that also. So just to kind of remind you, these are the things that I really like to share with people about the WAVwatch. There's hundreds of sound frequencies. There's no cords. There's no messy wires or patches. You don't need to use those any earplugs in it. You don't need to have it loud. That's the biggest thing. You want to turn it down on the WAVwatch so that it is just set on 4 for the sound. And there's no internet connectivity. Do not forget the importance of this. And I think I'm talking to a crowd that already knows, but I'm sorry, our Fitbits, our Apple Watches, and even our alerts, our Lifeline alerts and things like that we use as seniors sometimes can be very dangerous for us. And I'm just going to go over this again. It's worth mentioning that I had a client that had a life alert. She was a little crippled, so she always leaned this way. And so she had her alert down here. And within a year or less, I'm thinking it's more 6 months, she actually developed breast cancer right underneath that alert. And so it's the same thing as wearing a Fitbit or as wearing a WAVwatch or anything that's really hooked up to the internet. Please be very, very careful with those. Don't sleep with them. If you can get away with it, figure out another way if you need that watch for telling the time or whatever, Anyway, I could go on and on about that, and I have. But just remember that, please. Also on the WAVwatch, there's no monthly fee. I've already kind of mentioned that everybody can use it. So I'm talking about pets. I mean, it's amazing the amount of information we've gotten on pets. Somebody sent me a picture of a duck. If you haven't seen that one's pretty cute. And we've got cats and dogs and horses now so far that people have used the WAVwatch on. So if you can use it on pets, you can certainly use it on your grandkids. And then, some of the cutest things are people who are sitting side by side or snuggling at night and able to use the WAVwatch too, or they're sharing it back and forth. But if you have a mutual problem and you play that at night, both of you can actually be, feeling, touching, and hearing in some aspects. But I have several testimonies of people sharing it at night, and both of them had improvements. And I feel that it's very cost effective. So those are the things that I like about the WAVwatch. Now, one more thing. This is the most important screen, I think. Of course, you have to pick out, you have to know, you have to look at your booklet to find the 850 ideas and kind of know where to put those or where they're at. But people are missing the fact that once you get to this screen, that you can set it 3 different ways. And so that's very important. The biggest one is right here on this screen. Repeat all the files in the folder. So like this folder has, I think it says 30 up here. I can barely see it, but 30 or whatever the number is, that's how many files are in that folder. So it is starting on number 3. So it would go from 3 to 30 and play all of those and then shut off with this double arrow set right here. Now, if you tap it again, the frequency on the screen will just play once and then it shuts off. So if it says 8 minutes here, it's going to shut off. Now, some of them, like the COVID or coronavirus frequencies, are over an hour. So you might have it set on one that just plays an hour and shuts off, but it will still do that. Or if it's on an hour and you touch the 3rd button, which is the double arrows down here, it will change to the 3rd one. And it looks like 2 arrows looping around a square. When you have it set on that one, it would loop all night long. So that's another way, an important way to do that. So I know it doesn't show everything. Okay, so to get on to the subject today, we can direct sound at a brittle object, and they've known how to do that with kidney stones. So doctors are finding out that they can break up kidney stones. They've known how to do this with lithotripsy. And the Scientific American basically says that the doctors don't know what frequency to use. That tool just blasts you with all kinds of sound. So lithotripsy is pretty invasive. They say it isn't, but in my estimation, it is a little bit invasive. So the older lithotripsy tools that I have seen, or whatever, seem to me to look more like a rocket cone, kind of an upside down rocket cone, and you're laying underneath it, and then they're putting the frequencies in that way. Now, what I found this time to show you was a little bit different setup. So obviously they have changed. Whoops, where's it at? All right, so it looks like this, so you are laying down and you're using sound waves, more ultrasound waves, to crush those stones. So they're focused on the kidney stone. You got an X-ray here. X-rays are used to locate the kidney stone. But the operator is wearing a lead apron to protect them from X-rays. You got all kinds of tools around. So that's a possibility of what we do medically. But what we know is that this cost is from about 12,800 average, but it can go to 7,200 to almost 17,000, and that's the cost of lithotripsy. But I've talked to two people personally who had kidney stones, and when they were in the hospital on medications for 3 days and water, that was it. And then they were let out of the hospital because nothing happened. And they were told that that kidney stone was still in there. And when they were out of pain, that they would know that the kidney stone had passed. Their bill was $40,000. Two people told me that, So what could we do different? Well, it's already on our wrist. We have it. Let's see. The WAVwatch is a little bit like lithotripsy on the wrist, for the $397. So I'm not saying that it's perfect. I'm not trying to say that it's the only thing you could use, but I'm saying, wow, it has some great testimonies. And if I could ever get a double-blind study accomplished and figure out how to do that and afford it and, all of the things that are necessary, that's what I would start with, would be the kidney stones, to see if we could prove that the WAVwatch is really doing that. Now, these are some other things about lithotripsy. So I think what I was going to pick out of here is it takes about an hour. So there's a couple different procedures. One takes about an hour and another takes about 30 minutes. Well, that's when you actually get to the hospital, when you get an appointment. You could be in a huge amount of pain for a couple of days before you got in there. I'm not sure how long, people have taken. They may go to the emergency room. And of course, I hear all kinds of stories about, I waited in the emergency room for 6 hours. So I'm saying that once you get to the system, that's going to take about an hour or 30 minutes. But it says it can bring quick pain relief, but it takes several days or weeks for the stone to finally pass. Now, this procedure is helpful in about 74% of the cases with lithotripsy. Again, at that cost of an average of almost $13,000. And then the body absorbs leftover particles after procedure. That's all I know, So again, most of us are looking for something as simplistic as we can. So that's why I thought I might go over the WAVwatch again with you. I think it's another excellent way to introduce the idea of frequencies to people that may be naysayers, because surely by this time they are realizing that kidney stones, that lithotripsy, that are EKGs, the list goes on and on for medical procedures that really are using frequencies. So you can say, well, I've got, a small tool to use frequencies. It's not the same as lithotripsy, but it might do something just as very similar with a lot less trouble. It's on demand. You don't have to wait, just like I didn't. I just felt a little twinge, and it's like, oh, when I muscle tested, I guess I had a kidney stone. I would never have known it, really, if I hadn't done my own muscle testing and then seen the proof, So these are some selections that are on the WAVwatch for the kidney stone. So the most important one is the kidney stone combo. And you can play that one and loop it over and over again all night long if you wanted to, or you could individually pick out some of those ideas. So individually, I've picked out liver and kidney detox before and played that. And that particular one is also in the detox folder. And sometimes I put ideas in different folders so that you don't forget to use them, so that they're right in there. You don't even have to think. And so these are some definite ideas. And I have people who are using it for kidney failure, and I haven't gotten an update on that yet. But all of these are ideas, and they're just in one folder under the organs. So I hope you found those before. Now, these are some of the stones that people pass and some images of them. And of course, they've blown them way up. I don't even know the exact minuteness of some of these stones, but mostly we have calcium stones. And although I really like this chart, it fails to tell us that there are 4 kinds of calcium stones. There's a dicalcium, a monocalcium, and a calcium. And then there's one called oxalate, basically like this one says. So they're just blaming this on some fruits and vegetables and nuts and chocolate. And what this isn't telling you is that the calcium that we take in our supplements or that's added to so much of our food is really problematic. So again, I go over this every time. Don't take your minerals separately. Don't pull one mineral out and have a bottle of calcium and just take it all the time. Because when you are, you have carotid artery problems, you have heart problems, and calcium stones, and even women have calcifications in their breast. It is from too much calcium that is not being taken out of our system or used correctly in our system. And to me, it is from that overload of calcium. And I did not think to even put an article in or a book there. I have shown it before, but there is a book called The Calcium Lie 1 and 2 by Robert Thompson, I think is the author of that. And he is a medical doctor who's telling us all of these same types of ideas, that we need to have the balanced minerals from salt, and we need to have 80 minerals in our salt containers. We don't just want a bottle of calcium, we want a bottle of minerals. Sorry, I'm just going this way. Don't have an example to show you, but I think you all get the idea. We are causing some of our own troubles. So it's very, very important that we do not just overload on calcium. Okay. So another idea is a sturvite stone that's caused by a urinary tract infection or bacteria, basically. So these have a different shape, and they can see these, they can tell the difference in them. And then we have uric acid stones from dehydration, and could also possibly be a high protein diet, but basically dehydration. So some of us have trouble with that in drinking enough water, but I like to try to balance it, because I really have heard so often that, if we're told to do something over and over and over again, there might be something a little wrong with it. And, I'm probably going to get in trouble for this, but one of the ideas is you need to drink all this water, all this water. Well, so much of our water for years has been polluted. And so all we've been doing is drinking water that is polluted. And it does have a negative effect on us. Yes, we should drink water. It's just the same idea. They're flipping it around as, hey, don't take any salt, go off all of your salt. That's wrong again. So we need to think this through on our water and make sure we've got enough water, but that it is pure, it is clean, good water, that it's not just out of a plastic bottle, that's not just out of the tap, that you have decided on some way to do your own purification. And that's a big question mark all by itself, because I don't know what to tell you. There's lots of different ideas. And I have 2 or 3 ways that I'm always experimenting with water. Another idea on the stones is that certain stones, the cysteine stones, can be problems with amino acids, and it might be an inherited disorder. And then another one is xanthine stones, and these get rarer and rarer, and not very many people have them. But about 12% of the population has kidney stones or has had kidney stones. And so the xanthine ones are caused by enzyme problems. And then the silica stones, which are the rarest, could be from medications or even herbal supplements. Now, what's silica? It's another mineral, so here again, a lot of times they're saying hey, don't pick out one mineral and take it by itself, or, just a couple of minerals, even in a combination. Make sure you are getting a balanced type of minerals through the salt that your body muscle tests for or craves. And I'm going over it again, but the best one for women that are who are not cycling anymore, who do not have a period, seems to be the real salt. For women who are having a period, it does seem like the Himalayan salt, which is pink, which has iron in it, is the best kind. And for guys, it tends to be more the Celtic salt. I was really kind of surprised, but I've seen that testing over and over again in my office. So here's what a kidney stone could look like, and the importance of getting that out of our system and making sure that we try to, keep our body as clean as possible is pretty important. So these stones can break up. So when I have had people who have done a urine test for me in my office, we saw all kinds of sediment like this. Now, this is one I pulled off the internet. I really wasn't able to get a picture of it. My camera wouldn't, pick that up. But we see all kinds of sediment. Sometimes the sediment is like black and white, salt and pepper type flakes, big flakes. Sometimes it's just white. Sometimes it's just black. And I've had other people, one story that I know I've told before, but my mother was in a nursing home, and I actually drove 500 miles to see her. And as I walked into her room and sat down, a young gal came in, and, she was like this. She walked into my mom's room, and she was supposed to be helping my mom, but I could tell she was in great pain. And I'm going, what's wrong? What's wrong with you? And she said, well, I've got kidney stones, I've had them for a week, and she's just in pain. And so all I did was get up and shut the door, and I put the WAVwatch on her. And I asked her what she was doing back to work. And she looks at me again in pain, and she's going, I have to eat, So how hard was that to share that idea with someone? She sits down in 30 minutes. She's out of pain. She'd been in that pain for a week, and she could put her shoulders back, and her urine specimen was full. It looked like mother vinegar. It was just the murkiest, thickest urine that you've ever seen. And she goes, oh, I never look like that, So very, very interesting, the different looks that you can see. And I've also had one other woman who had 5 rice white size granules. They were flat, but they were rice size. They were fairly big. And that was in a 30-minute time period in my office. So very, very interesting on all of the different sediment that you can see. And another example I have, I think I've got it written in the testimony, so maybe I'll tell that in just a minute. But so if you are still having trouble, maybe you've played the frequencies and it didn't help, you could also go through UTI, you could play bacteria, you could play sepsis on the WAVwatch. And you've got some decisions to make. I'm not telling you that you should use the WAVwatch and only it. Obviously, if you got a kidney stone and you really know it, you're in tons of pain, you need to be getting some help and support for that. But again, I've had people that are just starting on that trail of having trouble with kidney stones, and they were able to take care of it fairly quickly with a possibility of small, precise, defined, very defined and refined frequencies that came basically from possibly Tesla, but mostly Raymond Royal Rife. And those have been passed down and they're written up in books. So basically that's what we're doing. So if you don't have any results, again, play outside think outside the box and play other things. Now, when we do lithotripsy, we find out that there are quite some side effects, so you could get sepsis. So that's what I'm saying. So if you go to have some work done medically, make sure that if you have the WAVwatch, you might as well be playing all these kind of things too, to stop the possibilities possibly of getting some of these side effects that are common from having lithotripsy. And maybe there will be some, testimony here or some ideas on some other things that have happened, because there are quite a few problems. We're talking about bruises, pain for 2 weeks. There's still, the stone still hasn't passed, and then maybe in 2 weeks they're in pain again. All kinds of stories that you can hear when somebody has had lithotripsy. So I haven't heard any of these with someone who has said that they have had a clean out with the WAVwatch, and they think that, they've gotten some kidney stones passed. I'm not hearing the pain. I'm not, no one's saying, hey, I was all bruised up. Obviously, they didn't use the same tool. Now, here's another idea. If you are using medications, these are some specific ones I found, and this was from Cleveland Clinic. And diuretics are going to cause some kidney stone risk. Calcium-based antacids. There we go again. Calcium, calcium, calcium. And they're used to treat osteoporosis. Something for HIV infections. I'm not sure I know how to pronounce all of these, or if I'm doing them correctly, but one for seizures. So Topamax and Dilantin are very problematic for possible stones. Cipro, an antibiotic, and triaxone, I know I didn't say that one right, is an antibiotic for use and can increase our risk with kidney stones. So that's why you also want to play detox on the WAVwatch once in a while. I'm saying 2 to 3 times a week. We are so over the top having trouble. And of course, our liver and our kidneys are the ones that are really responsible for getting some of these toxins out. So be protecting yourself and possibly doing that. And of course, I'm the one that came up with the kidney stone, and I do a lot of this. So very interesting how maybe, I was so thrilled that I had a tool that I could just reach. I could just set it a little bit different and take care of that. I didn't have to go through all of the other procedure. So I think I'm kind of winding down. This must have been a shorter one. I've got just a few more ideas, and I will open it up. But don't forget that we have playlists that are already made for you, or you can make your own playlist. But that's why it's so important, because if you thought you had a kidney stone and all of a sudden you're in a lot of pain, you're not going to maybe have enough wherewithal to figure out how to put it on a playlist. That's why it's already done for you. So you're just going to go to organs and go to kidneys, and then you're set with some ideas. Now, here's another slide. It talks about some of the bacteria that causes kidney stones. So they know the types of bacteria that cause kidney stones. And so this gives us some information, and that's why you could also play bacteria folder. And I didn't realize I had a couple more slides. Infections characterized by gas, and I just found this one. And so I didn't think I had any of these infections, but I did pass a stone, several stones and that kind of thing. So anyway, you can see that that might be a symptom that you might not recognize, and then you can play some of those ideas to be helpful for your system. So one of the testimonies that I was going to tell you about is the first one up here, and I can kind of paraphrase it. But this was a person, that had the pain meds and water, 2.5 days in the hospital. And after he wore the WAVwatch, he said his pain was gone in 25 minutes, and I didn't need any pain pills. I had some small black flecks in the first urine sample. My doctor said that when the stones pass, I would be out of pain. And he was one of my samplers for the prototype product. And he says, I can hardly wait for the final product. And then his update, it's been several months since one 30-minute prototype session, and he has not had any more pain. And then this is the testimony for the 5 flecks, like a grain of sand or rice, only flatter, after 30 minutes. Now, this person couldn't tell but she had been having low back pain and she just gone to the chiropractor. So she wasn't in pain at the time. But just the fact that she passed those little ideas made you understand that she probably did have kidney stones. And then here's some more testimonies, So again, I think that the WAVwatch is one of the great ways to tell people, to show people, to share with people, and let them know that frequencies can be far reaching. Hey, here's an idea. You want to try this? I hear you're in pain. You think you have kidney stones. Let's try this WAVwatch. And then, go ahead and get your appointment for the doctor too. I'm not saying don't do that, obviously, but it is a way to share. And then when people start to wake up and say, oh, frequencies can do some things, then they might be more interested in some other ideas on the WAVwatch. Now, if we talk about gallstones for just a little bit, these are some frequencies in gallstones, and they're very similar frequencies that are all tied together and very helpful also at the same time. So people sometimes know they have gallstones and sometimes they don't. So this is something to run through also, but it's similar ideas. So that's why we're putting them together today, to just kind of cover them, but not as much in depth. Just to let you know, they do have non-surgical therapy for gallstones, and I do not know what the price of it is, but you can take a drug, and the gallstone may take months or even years to go away. Because some stones are calcified, sometimes this treatment doesn't work. So they do have medicines, and then they have another non-surgical technique, and it is shockwave therapy again. It uses high frequency sound waves, and it breaks up the stones. So they say this isn't a very common one, but just wanted to let you know that they have actually worked with other high frequency sound waves. And again, the WAVwatch is not high frequency, it's acoustical. It's lower frequency in the hearing range. While the gallbladder serves as an important function, it's not essential for a normal, healthy life, according to the medical community. So they're going to take them out a lot. So I do want to remind you that that would not be my opinion. And I hope that is not your opinion that, oh, this organ isn't needed. It's in our bodies for a reason, obviously. And one of the worst things that I have connected with gallstones is actually Lyme disease. Lyme disease loves soft body organs, so it's going to work on it. And so a lot of people who have had gallbladder surgery probably have had some Lyme disease connections. And so that would be another idea. And I don't think I put that folder in here, but if you have any trouble with gallstones, I would also suggest that you play through the Lyme disease folders. Those are very, very important. And again, I'm repeating, but I would hope that you would not grab onto the idea that they are telling us medically that, oh, you don't need your gallbladder. People that have their gallbladders out have not been very satisfied sometimes, and you can maybe find somebody that has a testimony on that. So just to kind of close it out a little bit more, there are some natural ideas, and I just got a few ideas, but of course you can use lemon juice and olive oil, and it's been used for gallbladder stones, but it's also for kidney stones. And there's several different recipes for this. So the one that was included with this image, and it came from this source here, emedihealth.com. Basically is saying 1/4 cup of fresh lemon juice, 1/4 cup of olive oil, and then drink this mixture followed by plenty of water. And you could do this 2 to 3 times a day for up to 3 days. Now there's all kinds of recipes. I think there's one that's 1/2 cup of olive oil, 1/2 cup of lemon juice, and just drink it one time and then be prepared to stay by the bathroom. But all kinds of ideas, and they are worth trying if you don't have a WAVwatch, So you do want to make sure that you realize there's some natural things that would work with that also. And then here's one idea that I am so enthused about, and I don't know why I waited for almost the last slide, but there is something that's called a doctrine of signatures. And I really didn't know the name of it till I started looking. But you've probably heard for a long time that certain fruits and vegetables resemble the body organs that they have a significant effect on. So, how hard is it to figure out that kidney beans are effective for kidney and bladder problems, including kidney stones? I mean, they look, obviously, they're even named kidney beans. And so they do know that this does work. And this was written up in imedhub.com. So a little bit different. And if there is one article that I would suggest that you follow up on, if you're interested in this idea, it's this one right here. I love this. They had every picture under the sun that was connected to a body organ. So for grapes, that's for your lungs. You know, those are supposed to be good for your lungs. For cancers, they showed broccoli and a cancer, and I couldn't get the pictures to copy, you know, so just telling you that they had some amazing examples. They showed how just a slice of a carrot is good for your eyes. It resembles your eyes, and it goes on and on. So that's a fun thing to actually be working with, and maybe even teaching children or your grandchildren. It's like, hey, we eat kidney beans for your kidneys. We eat carrots for your eyes. We eat sweet potato was for your pancreas, I believe. And the list goes on and on. So it had pictures and images and information and studies about all of those. So if we want to be really official, this is called the doctrine of signatures, and how certain foods that look like our body organs can be helpful for them. So that's what we've got in a flash. I didn't cover essential oils this time, but there are tons of essential oils that you could be using for kidney stones also. And there are going to be more ideas I didn't cover. Of course, drinking more water, you know, eating a little bit more variety of food. It's in our hands to take better care of ourselves. And so it's now on our wrists, a way that we can take better care of ourselves. So thanks for joining me today. And I really appreciate your time coming, and your information too. So I'm going to open this up, and if anybody has any ideas or questions or testimonies, we're ready for that. You can unmute yourself and add to the conversation, or whatever we need to do.
Okay, I have a son who has 4 stents in his heart. Would the WAVwatch be okay for him to use?
Yes. And I love to say it this way. Can he listen to you talk?
Not right now, no.
You can't listen to voices?
Oh, I thought you meant right now listen to me.
Oh,
No.
yeah. But so it's kind of fun to tell people, here's an easy example. If you can talk to somebody, if they can listen to the radio, if they can sing themselves, those are all frequencies, and those are the exact things that are on the WAVwatch. So that's why it's safe. These are acoustical frequencies. And what they shouldn't do is stand underneath a 5G tower. They shouldn't be wearing the Apple Watch, because those are not normal frequencies. They should not stand in front of their microwave. So those are the ones to be careful with, but the WAVwatch is safe because it's acoustical. And it's kind of fun to say, hey, can they listen to an Elvis song? Yeah. So then they can use the WAVwatch.
Okay. And if someone has had COVID, how often would you suggest that they use the COVID frequencies?
That's kind of a hard one. If they've had it, you know, they might play it a couple times a week, but if they are in the middle of it and just now getting the watch, I would play it on a loop several times a day.
Okay.
And there's not a right or a wrong. It's kind of hard. Everybody's individual.
Okay, good. Thank you.
You're welcome, Judy.
Miss Linda?
Yes.
Yes, you can still hear me.
Yes, I can.
I went to a client this week, I guess, and it was a man and a wife, and they already had the WAVwatch, but they were kind of unsure on how to use it. So they asked me to come help them as they were one of my customers anyway from years ago for other things. And they only had one, but actually both of them needed to use it. And they said, how are we going to do this? And I said, what would you like me to play on that for you? Well, diabetes. They were both diabetics. So I said, sure, I'll just set it on diabetes and we'll just play the whole files, all of them. And all three of us are going to get treated, which included me. And
Aha.
they looked kind of funny, but anyway, that's what I did and turned it up so everybody could hear well. And then it got done, and the one lady had such problems with neuropathy and whatever. She'd been on Oxycontin. Can you imagine this? For 6
Oh.
years.
Oh,
6 years. I mean, I've just been freaking out over that forever. But
and what has it done to her body? Yeah.
I don't know what it's done to her.
Yeah.
It scared me to death. But anyway, so I went to polyneuropathy and did the same thing for all of us because I was there quite a while. And I thought those frequencies aren't going to hurt me either.
Uh-huh.
I do diabetes once in a while because I'm kind of a borderline type person, and it really works really well for me. But anyway, when I got ready to leave, why, I felt so much better myself. I got up and I walked out of their house much faster than I walked in. And even her husband said, oh my goodness, she walked really well going out and coming in. He saw me now crippled up and whatever was going on, you know. And anyway, then later in the day, I believe it was, or maybe it was the next day, she called me and she said, I don't know what you did. When he came back in and later in the day, she said, I did not take any pain medicine the rest of the day. I mean, this was a first for a long, long time that this is, you know, had happened to her. And she said, what? All you did was lay that on the table. And I said, yes, that's all I did. And I tell you, they were totally astounded. And he agreed. He said, I don't know what she did either. It didn't do any, you know, all she did was lay it there. Well, obviously it worked. And it worked on me also because when I went out, I could walk a lot better and I felt a lot better myself. So that's just kind of a testimonial, I guess, for what you can hear.
Perfect. I love it.
Someone, you know, and I mean, I got their testimony immediately, almost the next day over how well it worked. And they were so surprised. They just couldn't believe this. So anyway.
And see, so you flip somebody into frequencies or however you want to say
I did.
it.
I mean, it was really funny. And when she called me that next day, she sounded so good.
Oh, wow.
The day I was in there, she looked very bad and she almost scared me because she looked so bad and she felt bad. But the next day, I mean, she was herself again on the phone. I was
I love it.
I was almost dancing at the end of the phone because she sounded so well. So, anyway, I just
Perfect. Thank you, Janie. And this is Janie from Burlington, Colorado, close to my hometown where I was raised. So it's a real treat to hear her. You know, that idea makes me think of, you know, once in a while on some of these podcasts, you'll hear that, you know, 5G towers are bad. They are, no, but that they've been taken over and, you know, they're going to put frequencies in them to help us. And that, to me, that is a possibility. I'm not saying it's happened. I don't know anything about it, but wouldn't it be interesting if they really could broadcast some more frequencies? That's what Janie did. She broadcast frequencies that were very, very helpful. But, you know, you don't want to have something blasting the whole time, but I'm sure that we could figure out a more subtle way for people to be getting good frequencies. It makes sense to me, but I'm not saying that that's done or that it's even going to happen. But that's how frequencies can move through our bodies, is we hear them or we can feel them. So thanks, Janie. Anybody else like to add to the comments? Well, I don't want to bore anybody. I don't want to just sit here. Any other comments?
Hey, Linda, I had a
Sure.
question. Do you have frequencies that you would recommend for someone with anal cancer?
No, remember, I do not work with cancer. The only folders would be the pathogen folder. And that pathogen folder is, it's a playlist basically. And they just tap that and there are, I think, 25 ideas. And there are viruses, parasites, bacteria, molds that are connected with cancer and that cause cancers. So by getting rid of that, it does seem to work very well. There are three ideas: that cancer 1, cancer 2, and cancer 3. And that's all I put on the WAVwatch that, is cancer related. Because I'm not making any claims, I can't say that. My gosh, the trouble I could get into. The WAVwatch is a self-care tool, but that would be kind of a starting point and make somebody start paying attention to see what else they could do. And maybe they'd even like to invest in an expensive Rife machine. They're $14,000 and they do literally have thousands of frequencies for cancer. They are advertising it that way. And to me, you almost have to be, have a PhD in using the machine. They're very much harder to use. And so if somebody's even struggling to use the WAVwatch, they're not going to be able to use the Rife machine on their own. But they could go somewhere. There are clinicians who do have them in their office and specialize in Rife frequencies for cancer. So just not the
Okay.
WAVwatch. Yeah, I hope that's
Okay.
helpful.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Linda,
Yes.
it's Beth Ann here. I'm just reading, John had a question. He says, will
Oh.
there be a setting for diabetes and retinopathy?
Oh, I didn't even see that question at all. Okay, will there be a setting? There already is a setting for diabetic neuropathy. And yes, I hate to advertise this too much, but I believe I did find that setting for retinopathy. And I am working on a new version. It's just an updated version. It's going to have about 1,000 frequencies on it. And basically, it just involves exchanging the TF card that's right. Excuse me, let's see if I can, I can't turn my wrist. There we go. The TF card is in this center slot right here. And so to update yours, all you would have to do is buy an updated TF card. And I'm, planning on offering those for about $50, but give me a couple months. It's not done yet. It's in the process. And I don't want anybody to get all worried about it because they're, a few frequencies short. The WAVwatch is amazing as it works now. But I didn't know how much these TF cards would hold. And so I was able to squeeze just a few more frequencies on, and again, for $50, you'll be able to update that. But,
Thank you.
Yep.
Linda, can you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I'm trying to find an extra screen protector. It's hard to find that size. Do you know where you can get those? I mean, obviously you guys supply one with it, but I put it on and took it off so many times because I couldn't get it straight, and then it loses its its stickiness. And
Right.
I'd like to get a different one because I keep bumping my watch on different things.
Right. And I've tried to, I've answered that in the waiting room. So I don't know if you've seen it there, but just email info@wavwatch.com so that we have your address and your email, and we can send you one. We are a little bit short on them and we have ordered more, but we do have just a few extras right now. We were out for a while and they are on low supply, but definitely they were made just for the WAVwatch. So I do have, again, just a couple, or you might have to wait a couple of weeks until I get more, and we'll get those sent to you.
Okay, so info@wavwatch.com.
Yes.
Thank you.
Uh-huh. Okay, any other comments or questions or ideas? And a couple of people have texted me ideas that they want to put on the WAVwatch, and I'm not sure I got all of them on, but I have I've worked on it and working on a new booklet, that kind of thing. So just a small update. It'll be the same watch. You won't have to change anything except a TF card. So don't worry about it. All right. I suppose we should go ahead and say bye for the week. I'm not sure how many people are getting emails. They're supposed to go out, every week to let you know that I'm having a webinar. But if you're not getting those, just remember that it's posted on the website, and I'm going to have these, every day, or excuse me, once a week, same time, 10 Central Time. And you can pass that idea on for the Wednesday Zoom call to people that you might know who are interested. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Linda.
Thank you. Thank you, Linda.
Bye-bye.
God bless you. Love you. Bye.
Oh,
Bye-bye.
bye-bye. Thanks.